everyone, this is Kim Ellis from Kim Ellis Embracing Souls, and I'm absolutely thrilled today to bring to you a very special person, and that's Kelly Moriarty from the Green Room Plan. So first of all, I'd like to introduce you to Kelly, and she's going to share some of her wisdom and her background, where she's come from, and what her passion is to be able to help women on their journey in their life. So Kelly, welcome, and we're absolutely thrilled to have you.
Thanks, Kim.
So can you just share a little bit about how you got started, your past, what you used to do beforehand, so people can kind of connect in with you?
Sure. Well, hello. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And my online business is called the Green Body Plan. But I started actually as a veterinary surgeon. So, and I say that actually, I'll just give that story because often I would tell people I was a vet and they'd say, oh, you're a vet nurse.
Yeah.
And they'd just make the assumption that I wasn't a doctor.
I didn't think you looked old enough when you used to be my yoga teacher.
That was it as well, you know. It was the female thing, the age thing and everything. But, you know, by 22 I had my degree and I was practicing surgery and medicine. And, you know, as a vet you do ultrasound, you do dentistry, you do blood work, you do everything really, which is one of the great things about it. But at the same time, I'm not a vet anymore. So my journey into this kind of path of health and well-being was really complete burnout. I was always a perfectionist, I still am, but you know, recovering perfectionist maybe, but you know, type A personality, really smart, did really well at school, went to university to study to be a vet and worked really hard there, of course. It's a big degree. And then I went into the career and I did 5 years practicing, initially out in a rural area. I did large animal practice and small animal practice, and then ended up more in the small animal practice. But it's really crazy actually to think about the person I was then and how, not necessarily the person, but just the lack of awareness that I had at the time.
That's a big thing for all of us, I think. You know, when you're gung-ho and we wonder why we end up with adrenal exhaustion.
Absolutely.
We wonder, don't we? We just keep push, especially high achievers.
Yeah, and you know, we said about the whole woman thing as well, you know, even though most of my classmates were women, and that's kind of been the trend, you know, when you go out into the workforce, all the bosses and the owners are all male, and particularly when you go out into the country and you go and see cows or horses or whatever, and you work for a man that's been in the area for 30 years, and then they get and me sort of 10 years ago, you know, like this baby face kind of young lady out to look at their cow. So I mean, in some respects I can sort of see why they would perhaps be hesitant, but it did add to my drive to prove myself, you know, and to work massive days and long hours and take on jobs that were probably way over my head, and I just, you know, figured it out as I was going. But yeah, I always had this real motivation, this real drive to prove myself, and because I knew I could do it, you know, so I wanted to prove it to myself as well. But yeah, fast forward to sort of just before I left the industry, and I was really burnt out. I was getting sick regularly, and that was kind of the norm in the industry or in where I was working as well.
What, just with colds and just
anything that would come around, you know, and even just the general energy of the people that you're working with when everyone's kind of in that same sphere, I guess, of like, just get on with it, take the drugs, turn up and work, and don't look after yourself. Really, it's not looking after
paradigm
yourself,
that's the norm, and it's, you know, it's not till you start to understand that is actually not normal.
No.
Well, it is normal if you want to burn yourself out.
Well, that's the thing, and we don't have that you know, beforehand. We're just talking about waking up, and most people don't wake up until something goes wrong, and that's such a shame. And I've seen that for myself in a mild way. You know, I had back pain, I was getting infections, anxiety, and then eventually I ended up very depressed, and sort of managed to come out of the other side of that. But I've also seen friends and colleagues that, you know, struggled with 2 years of trying to get pregnant and and that just eats away at them. You know, I've seen women that have had breakdowns and ended up with severe vertigo where they literally can't work for 18 months, and just really big consequences of living that way. And so that's why I'm really passionate now about kind of helping people to wake up, and once they do, giving them that guidance to kind of, so what do you do from there?
What was the final point that took you to there? What was?
I think that, well, actually I was ready to leave the industry before I did, but my husband was sort of changing jobs himself, so I stayed probably a bit longer than I would have liked to, and eventually I changed job to go to a part-time job because I thought that would maybe just take the pressure off, I would enjoy it a little bit more. But when I moved over to this other job, I realised it was just the same, you know, and I was really unhappy. And probably the lowest point was sort of day off, mid-afternoon, it would have been 3 o'clock, no reason for me to be in bed. And my husband sort of coming around the house looking for me, wondering where I was, and I was just lying there crying, you know, because I was completely burnt out. I was done.
And when your soul becomes so disconnected, you actually become so disconnected from your soul and your purpose in this world, and it's like, what the hell am I doing? It's Groundhog Day, and I guess the more you become aware and the more disconnected you come from being what you truly want to do, is the struggle's so real. And I was talking to someone this morning, same thing. She said, I just don't want to go there anymore, Kim. And it's like, well, you're actually in conflict with your value system.
Yes.
And it's very hard when you're in conflict with your value system to actually continue on that path.
And that's really interesting that you said that, because the first week of my course, which is inside my membership group, we do core values. And I just recorded a podcast yesterday literally about core values, because reflecting back for myself now, when I think about, you know, 5 years of study, 5 years of becoming good at being a vet, I was pushing myself into something that I wasn't, and I was pushing so hard for that to happen. But when I look back, there was such a mismatch in my core values of who I wanted to be, who I was, and what I thought was my sort of purpose and good in the world, and what I was trying to squeeze myself into, you know, and push myself into. And now looking back, it's clear. But at the time, I was in it. You know, it's very hard.
And it's difficult when you've I guess you've got that education, you've spent all that money, and you're a high achiever, and this is what I should be in the medical industry or in the, whatever industry it is, and it's not always for you. No, it doesn't define who you are. But once you start to get into flow and you're in actual alignment with your value system, well, then life just flows, and it's like, wow, it didn't have to be
totally
like that.
Different. And it's interesting thinking back when I was making that change, and you can imagine people saying, you want to be a yoga teacher? You're a veterinarian. You went to university for 5 years. Like, what are you doing? Why would you leave? And still people ask me, why did you leave the veterinary industry? And my honest answer is, how long have you got? Because there was just so many factors that weren't aligned with who I was and what I believed and the whole bit,
So good that you actually discover. And I think then, because, yesterday I did a talk around the terror barrier. We get to a point and it's on one side of this line, which I call the terror barrier, is all that fear, like, what will people think about me, and all of those things that come up in our mind. And if we can just break through the terror barrier, on the other side is actual freedom, and you're actually in alignment. But very few people actually get to break through the terror barrier. So, for Kel, you can imagine what will people think about me, and what you've gone from being a veterinary surgeon into a yoga teacher. Like, seriously, what were you thinking?
It was always just a yoga teacher. You want to be just a yoga teacher.
Isn't it the perceptions and the paradigms people have? So, an awesome message for Kel to be able to portray that she's beyond, but nothing's ever wasted. So no matter what you choose to do in your life, nothing is ever wasted. And I think that's something we need to truly understand, that nothing's ever wasted in our life. So, so many skills that Kel's learned in that playground, she's obviously been able to take forward to her new playground, and the power that she's got and the knowledge and the life experience that she can share with so many others is just incredible. So just a little bit about what you do, Kel, with your...
So in the Green Body Plan, I do coach some women privately, but I have a membership, which is where I want people to start, really, because that's a nice entry-level way, a supported environment where women can come in and start to wake up themselves. So inside the membership, there's a 5-part course, which is all about the foundations of health and well-being. And as I said, we start with those core values, which is such a revelation for a lot of women coming in. We also, I release a monthly meal plan with recipes. So there's some fresh inspiration and guidance every month with that as well. And we also do a monthly workshop. So that varies on what's sort of coming up in our Facebook group as to what's needed and what the women want to know about and what we want to share about with each other. So we just did a January goal setting workshop, and then the next one is about gut health and healing the gut. So every month there's like essentially it's monthly self-care. So it's committing to a ritual of self-care. If that makes sense.
What a wonderful thing to have for all of us, to be able to tap into a community that we can be with like-minded women, all on a path together at different stages, and we can all share with one another. You know, we can actually help one another along this journey, because each of us have got our own magic that we can share with each other, which is so good to be part of a community that everyone's supported together. So, you know, I think it's an absolutely brilliant idea, and I encourage anyone that's a little bit lost and, you know, not really understanding where to get started, where do I get started, what's the first thing that I do, you know, how do I get started on this path? You know, I'm so grateful that Kelly's developed this incredible community of people that women are safe to come into, that we feel supported and encouraged, but we've also got an incredible depth of knowledge from Kelly and all of her experiences, both physical, mentally, emotionally, all of those things that we know it's not just one magic pill that's going to sort us out. It's actually a combination of many. So to have somebody as brilliant as Kelly to be able to be your mentor, your coach, someone that's your biggest cheerleader as you step into this arena, that you actually feel safe and supported in a group of beautiful women, that you're all in this together. You're not alone. And I think that's a big thing with so many people. We feel that we're alone.
Especially, I think, you know, smart, high achieving women, we don't want to
it's vulnerable.
Let people know that we're struggling.
Absolutely.
But since I've created this membership group, that there's so much sharing going on. It's incredible,
wonderful.
Because I think people finally feel like, oh, I can let this out and it's okay.
We have this perception as women and men that, you know, that if we're weak, if, you know, we're actually, you know, if we don't have this facade on, or this, you know, that we're high achievers and we should be able to sort it all out, and we should be able to sort our shit out. It's doesn't happen like that. So, you know, how great to be an authentic group of women, all high achievers, just like you, that can step into this playground and you know, be supported, but honestly be raw and open, so that you can kind of, you don't have to play that game anymore. You can actually be supported with real people, with real knowledge and great recipes.
And also just constantly reminded, like, hey, look after yourself.
Self-care.
We all need that, right?
Self-care is actually healthcare. So, you know, if you're not putting some self-care in there, you're certainly, you know, it's part of your healthcare program. So it's the biggest reason we crash as women, as people, is because we put ourselves at the bottom of the pile instead of at the top of the pile. So, you know, that's a huge wake-up call for so many. It was a massive wake-up call for me, because we're too interested in making sure everyone, the kids are happy and husband's happy, and everybody else has got all their life sorted, and you know, and somewhere, if there's any scraps at the bottom, you'll put yourself in there. So, you know, it's important to move ourselves to the top, because you can't help other people if your cup's empty yourself. So, you know, it's really important. That's the biggest lesson we have to get as women, is to put ourselves at the top. So, Kel, I'd love to, you know, I'm just so thrilled that you've given your time for us to be able to tune in with us, because, you know, I'm so excited to collaborate with people that are actual, real, authentic, that have so much knowledge to share with others, and I love bringing people into the community that, you know, that we can all tap into and get help from one another, because, you know, we're all here to help each other and we're all here to support each other. Because, you know, life is a roller coaster, and if we can, you know, when we're down in the roller coaster, if we've got somebody to pick us up is a huge thing, because there'll be times when we're up that we can pull others up that are down. And, you know, to have somebody with the knowledge of Kelly, with the heart and the love to be able to, true passion to help other people is that's a gift. So we thank Kel for her gift, and we're thrilled to have her as part of our community. I was so excited when she offered to be able to come into this podcast and to be able to tell us a little bit about what she does and speak her heart. So from us, we thank you for tuning in, and follow Kelly on her podcasts.
That's the Green Body Podcast.
The Green Body Podcast. She
Everything
has
else is on
social
the website.
media. She has all different things that you can tap into. She has open or free Facebook groups. You can dip your toe in and just start to have a look what goes on in her community. So, you know, we're thrilled to have Kel as part of our community, and I know many of you will choose to dip your toe in and start to have someone that can take you to where you're going on your journey in this life. So bye for now.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for my episode next week. Please subscribe to my podcast channel and follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in. Live clean, live well, be happy. Bye for now.